Thanks for joining me on this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher, and today we're going to take a look at one of my all-time favorites. I think I have maybe two handfuls. I haven't counted them, but I'm going to guess two handfuls. It's definitely not a handful of favorite go-to tangles that I use a lot just because I love them. This one is called Laced. It was brought to us by CZT Mary Elizabeth Martin. I'm very thankful to her because I love this tangle. I think the ones I love are super easy and then also impressive at the same time. Most all of the tangles are impressive in one way, shape, or form, but there are some that just for my taste, that's what they do. Okay, let's see. So for this one, I'm going to start with a pencil, and because this is a line tangle, and you can use it in your string. You could use it in a border. There's a lot of uses for it. So this one I am going to, whoops, all right. I'm not always so great at just making strings off the top of my head, so I usually take a deep breath and then just go. So anyway, all right, this one starts off with, and again, I drew the string because that way I can demonstrate this is how you can use it. You could just do it freehand if you want. I do occasionally do that as well. All right, so this one starts off with a series of parallel lines, kind of thinking about like railroad tracks, sort of. And actually, I'm going to start right here on this curve, because as I crossed over, I also want to show how you can kind of cross over with these. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to put one line on my pencil line, and then the other one I'm going to essentially aura, off a little ways. And these can be any length that you want. I'm kind of doing about 3/4 of an inch or so. It doesn't matter. And then this one, I'm going to have this one just go off the page like that. Just completely off the page. And then I'm going to travel around. And you want to have a little bit of separation. That separation is also up to you. And then here I've gotten a little bit too close, but that's okay. We'll have this go right on the edge like that. And then I'm coming around. And then this one, I'm going to go under. So if you are new to Zentangle and you do not know what the Halabau technique is, I will share that with you. And I do believe there is a Zentangle Quickie video. I'm going to double check. And if not, I will work to get one done. So what I'm going to do is, and actually this first one is easy because I'm following my pencil line, so that makes this one easy. But pretending you don't have a pencil line, I'm doing my line. I'm picking up my pen, traveling it over the space I do not want to draw over, but draw under, and then I continue on the other side. Now this one I don't have a pencil line to follow. So as you see, and I have my pen just travel along as if I'm drawing, but not. So that way it just adds that, it makes it a little easier to plop your pen down on the other side and continue on. Then it looks more like a continuous line. All right, and then I will finish it up there. All right, that is the first step. Now, as there are no such things as mistakes in Zentangle, there are, I call them course corrections. The next step, if you're following along and you haven't looked at the step outs, which are found in the description of the description box below. If you haven't looked and you've never done this tangle and you're just following along, you're not going to know. So I'm going to tell you where you might need to have a little course correction. All right, so where it's too thin, too close together. So the next step that we're doing is a C shape, and it's kind of a curve. Yeah, it's more like a C than usually we say a C as in just a curved line. But so this one I'm starting on, and I usually will call this, the lace. So I'm going to start on, this side here, and then I'm going to draw my C, but I'm going to put the curved part as close to or on the end of this, these two lines as possible, because I do want to have a little bit of a gap here. And then I usually flip my tile just so that way I'm kind of drawing them the same way. Well, sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. So same thing, drawing the C line, but I'm putting this edge right close to where those lines are. So that way then you can have the gap. Now, on the opposite side of that, so for instance right here, I'll go a little out of order, I have quite a gap. So maybe I want to close that gap a little bit, so that, kind of like doing it the opposite way. So I'm going to, come a little closer to the edge of this line and do my C, but I'm leaving a gap. And then this one here too, and then you can make them, whatever size that you want. And maybe one side is, you need to move it a little bit, and the other side is fine. It all depends on how yours ends up. But I share that so that way you have resources to utilize as you're doing this tangle. And actually, the other course correction that comes with this, or just comes with Zentangle period, is when you fill it in. This one I was almost thinking, oh, I could just have that line go off the side too. All right. So next step is the fill-in. And again, that is a course correction. So what I do is, so these places where, well, actually, let me just fill this one in here. I already completed that line, but where you have a line that needs to be completed because we course corrected, this is when you can do that. So like right here, well, I'm going to just finish that line, to the curved part of that C. And again, sometimes I flip my tile just so that way it's easier to see versus, kind of doing something where your hand or the shadow from your hand is covering. And then also with the fill-in course correction, if for whatever reason you don't like the shape of your C, and I highly encourage you color it in first, and then see where it goes, see how it looks, and then if you need to go a little bigger, or so like right here, I don't know, I'm going to, this, like I like this shape, but this one is a little bit weird, so I'm just gonna round it a little bit, and because you're expanding it with the color, that's how we can do that. So then just carefully coloring these in. And I say carefully because a lot of times I'll get one, oh, that looks really, oh, and then my pen goes, gets away from me or something. And again, sometimes it's good just to leave it as it is and then finish all of this step. And then take a look at what the whole pattern looks like, because maybe you don't need to course correct at all. Maybe it is just fine. And sometimes we don't know that until we're done. I do like going right to the edge with some things. It's funny, I'm using a bijou tile because, and I don't think I said it at the beginning, I usually do. The bijou tile is like about a 2x2 inch, and regular size tiles, although, I mean, you can do this on any size paper, sketchbook, whatever, but the Zentangle tiles, these are the sizes that they come in, with a host of others. But I was like, I'm going to use the bijou tile so that way I will make sure, so that way we can do it quick. And still sometimes it's like, then I seem to be then now doing patterns smaller to fit in, defeating my own purpose, but that's okay. All right, so there they are, all filled in. And isn't that a cool tangle? Now, you can stop right there if you wish, or you can do some shading. And so I'm going to share with you some of the shading ideas for this. And I'm going to share first. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm just going to do it right on here because I have some examples. That's what I'm going to do first. And these are rather small. So you kind of have to judge how small. So I'm putting a little bit of graphite on the inside. And now here, I'm not putting any graphite on the inside here. you know, crossing this. I will put graphite, you know, going this way on the, you know. But I'm putting it on, well, I think I started off on the bottom. Here, let me do this. Sometimes what I aim to do is to show varying degrees of things so that way you can see and decide how you might want to do it. Because you can do these in stages. Okay, I sort of did that with some of them. Let me see where I am. All right. And with a nice tortilla. Oh, here's one with a better tip. All right. So let me start here where I did not put graphite at the top, just so I can show you. So this one, and I'm just smudging out, and I'm using little teeny circles and following along that graphite line. Okay, and so on those two, ignore the rest. So you can see how that shapes it. So, you know, leaving the top as it is and just doing the one side, it adds this really nice, you know, kind of curve to it. Now, the other thing, and I think this is the way I like to do it most, although as I was playing around with this, I think I have another new favorite way. Now, so you can put this on both sides, as I've done. The trick with this is, depending on how narrow your lace is, so then now it ends up looking a little bit like a tube. You have to be really careful because what we want to have in the middle is your original paper color. Now, you can go back, of course, and add in, you know, either white jelly roll or white colored pencil, or my favorite is using the chalk pencil or white charcoal pencil, because it does blend well with the graphite. But you can play around with that and just see. So like this one, I added a little bit too much, but that's all right. This one is also going underneath, so I'm going to give it that. Now, sometimes I'm using, if these were a little bit thicker, oh, look at that, it's going to be so tight. I'm using what's left on my tortillon here for this other side. Sometimes I just push it along like this kind of a motion. Usually I use little circles, so that way you're drawing that graphite into the space you want to shade. But sometimes you just don't have a lot of space. But as you can see, this makes it neat, where it's rounded the lace into what looks like a little tube. So that's some fun that you can have with it. And then here's another one that I was playing with. This one, I did the shading, I did the graphite just on the outside. Actually, I got a little bit in on there. One thing I was thinking about doing is, you know, going a little bit darker. Let me just do that maybe here. Because what we look for in Zentangle with shading is more about the contrast than, you know, so we're not worried about light source and all of that. Now, if you're doing, you know, something specific, of course you can be concerned with that. But in general, we're just looking for the contrast, to make things pop, to add a little dimension. And you can see, oh yeah, so I like to start a little bit on the light side, and then you could always add more graphite. We don't put any erasers in our kits for a reason, for lots of reasons. Mostly because, you know, we just want to have this be a nice, we're not looking for perfection. We're not looking necessarily to create works of art. I think of sometimes it's works of art are the side effect of Zentangle. If you don't know, Zentangle was created as a way to teach meditation through art. And for me, I kind of found meditation and art through doing Zentangle. I was attracted to it just because, like, oh, that's really neat. And that's a story for, you know, another time. But you know, it's I like the results that it does, because I'm not an artist and I think that it's absolutely amazing. But the rest of it are just kind of side effects. So that is fun. Now, I mentioned you can use this as a string. Actually, no, I did that this was my whole tile. This is a regular tile, and I just like, oh, I want to play with just having, what do they call that, negative space. So just having a lot of white space and not filling in the whole tile. So that's an idea that you can do. This I like to challenge myself most times, and I did that first, and then decided to do this other tangle behind it, and that's fun. And then of course I like to use this a lot when I'm doing these pages, because it's a nice line tangle to kind of go along the sides. But then this tangle is called Droop, and I had a gem in the middle here, and I decided to take the spokes coming out of Droop and turn them into laced, and therefore, and then so I wanted to continue, of course, the pattern, so I added that extra line inside. So just some options for your inspiration, for your creativity. Hope you had fun watching. I hope you tried along with it, and also in that description box is information on not only the step out, but ways to connect with me. And also, if you are on Facebook and want to join our Tangle community, there's information there as well. So again, hope you enjoyed it. This is one of my all-time favorites. It's just such a neat tangle, and versatile, as you can see. All right, so with that, I wish you happy tangling.